At the beginning of every semester, that first day in class, I walk up to the professor, introduce myself, just so that they know I'm a face and I'm not just a name.
Please welcome Gabby Mendoza, YouTube creator, musician, and college student.
I started my channel because, one, I knew there were a lot of people that were new to the blind community, and two, there are a lot of people in the blind community who may or may not know about the resources and agencies and the tools that are available to help them succeed.
Talking about the changes and challenges of being a college student during the pandemic.
The distance learning thing was very, very stressful. It was very hard. And I started to get really discouraged because I was dealing with professors again who weren't accommodating. Sometimes it feels like you're screaming, but no one can hear you. Hi, I'm Gabby. I live in New York and I'm currently in college studying communications and digital media.
Welcome to Blind Abilities. I'm Jeff Thompson. In this studio with me is a YouTube creator, a pianist, a singer, college student, and someone that is surviving the COVID-19 pandemic across the United States. Please welcome Gabby Mendoza. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing real good. Thanks for coming on to Blind Abilities and sharing a little bit about your story here.
No problem. I'm excited.
I see you made the cover of a magazine.
Yes. Bold Blind Beauty. That was really fun for me because working with Stephanie, who's in charge of the magazine, she's just a really, really great person to work with. So it was nice for her to feature me on the cover. And then I did a story within the magazine talking about my journey with blindness and all that acceptance stuff. So it's been great getting to connect with her and work with her.
So you started out playing piano when you were very young.
Yes. I started to play piano at the age of maybe 5 or 6, but I started singing when I was 5 years old. I was always singing around my house. It was just something I was very passionate about. Eventually, my mom enrolled me into a music school where I stayed for about 8 or 9 years, just learning different skills. I took dance class with an amazing dance teacher. I did percussion. We performed at the Metropolitan Museum here in New York. And yeah, I was able to accept myself from being around other blind people. So that was also a great plus, and just make new friends.
Oh, wow. So what led you to decide that you wanted to go to college? Because you did go to a performing arts high school, so that's pretty neat in itself. That would be mainstream, but for people who are more focused on arts?
Yeah, so they obviously had like the academic part of it where, there's math, English, all that fun stuff. And then there is, of course, the art part of it, like vocal, dance, drama, theater, band, things like that. At first, in my junior year of high school, I wasn't sure if there was anything else for me to study just because I thought music was it. I was so settled on music being the only thing I was going to work on. That's pretty much what I did. But for college, it was really hard because, as you know, for any student, it's that difficult transition from going from one environment where you know so many people to another one where you don't know people or you don't know as many people. I applied to the college that I go to currently, and I went for an open house. I just felt really welcome there the first few times that I was there, and eventually I got my acceptance letter, which I was like, oh great, this is going to be great. I'm studying something different and I can still work on music. So I'm about to graduate next spring, so that should be very exciting.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It feels like it's just kind of gone by so quickly, and I can't believe that. I feel like I just graduated high school yesterday. Literally. So
when you decided upon, I believe it's St. Francis in Brooklyn, to go to there, did you check out like the Disability Services office and see how they operated, they conducted their business, and if any other people who have gone there with visual impairments succeeded as well?
Yeah, so when I went for the open house, I met with the dean of students, who immediately was like, oh, well, let's work on this for you. And we had a director for the accessibilities office who was literally just starting out the same time that I was. But first of all, her and I became really good friends because I would work with her a lot because a lot of my professors just weren't and still aren't accommodating. Yeah, I worked with her. I met with her to kind of go over, okay, like these are my accommodations. This is what I would need, and just kind of figure out what she used to do, get to know her, which made it a lot better because I could tell she was very passionate about what she was doing. She was a person who I really did appreciate having her in that school. Sadly, she left I want to say last semester or 2 semesters ago because she got another job somewhere else. They were great people to work with. They made it a lot easier. And to this day, I'm still in contact with her. I keep her up to date with things that I'm doing in the school. So she's definitely somebody that I worked with before going into the school. So,
in your experience of transitioning from high school to college, what advice would you give to a transition age student, someone who might be like, ninth, 10th grade, 11th, as they're starting to forecast their future, the careers that they want? What advice would you have for them?
I would say, because I was one of these people who thought that, going into college, you have to join 1,000 clubs and you have to participate in every single thing. My first year, I'm not going to lie, I was very, very active on campus. I sang at a lot of different events and all these fun things. But if you're first starting out at a new place, especially if you're going to a big campus, I would say my advice would just be take the time to really feel comfortable within that environment. Take the time to really just kind of get to know yourself a little bit better, get to know the people that you're around a little bit better. And it's going to be tempting to want to participate. And I'm not saying don't overload yourself, especially if you have a lot of classes and everything is kind of new to you. It's going to put you under a lot of pressure and you're going to get really burnt out by the end of the semester. So just take your time, learn a little bit about those clubs. You can always put it on the back burner and return to it another time, which is what I did. And just enjoy your first 2 semesters. Really just learn about the faculty, ask questions, connect with people in different ways. Luckily for me, I was a very social person. It was easier for me. I mean, it's not very easy because of just other things. But if you're a shy person and you're a little bit more quiet, this is a time for you to really break out of your shell. This is your time to get to really get out of your comfort zone. And I think those are like the best things about going into college. You get to experience new things and learn about yourself. So I would definitely say those are some tips I would give.
Another thing about breaking out of the shell is typically when you're in high school, you may have a TVI or someone that's helping you or someone from the school that may be assisting and all that. But when you leave there, you can't bring them with you to the college. You may use the Disability Services office a little bit, but it's a time you start weaning yourself off that and start advocating for yourself about your accommodations. What was that like for you?
I was always trying to be independent growing up. A lot of people may or may not know, but like once you have a disability, there's all of these like roadblocks that kind of prevent you from doing certain things. And luckily, my family was not those people that kind of stopped me from trying to be independent, but it was very hard learning how to advocate more for myself because in high school, I had a one-on-one paraprofessional who was there with me. I had a TVI, I had a mobility instructor, and these were just all kind of consistent people that were there, for the 4 years that I was there. And so leaving behind those people, yes, it was very hard, but knowing that, okay, you're interacting with different faculty members now, these are professors. A lot of them are not going to understand the things that your teachers may have understood about you. So what I used to do my first year and what I still do now up into my senior year, at the beginning of every semester, that first day in class, when the class is done, I walk up to the professor, introduce myself, tell them, hey, I sent you an accommodation letter if that's something that you require. And just so that they know I'm a face and I'm not just a name, so that they know who I am and that I'm in their class so they can communicate with me one-on-one if they needed to speak to me or email me. And I think it's going to be hard, but I think that the more that you adjust to that and you adjust to the environment and the people around you, it's going to become a lot less stressful. It's not going to be stressful because it is. Advocating can get a little exhausting. So, yeah.
With the relationship with your instructors, did you initiate that before the classes start? Like, hey, I'm here. I use different techniques to access stuff? Did you give them a little email or something like that first?
Yeah, so let's say my first day would be in September. I would go in maybe the week before, meet with the dean of students and the accessibilities director, and then if the week prior to that, I would say, hey, I would really like to meet with the professor, or again, like you said, email them. That would be the time to do that, just because, well, for me, I was the first and I am the only blind student at my college currently. Knowing that they never taught a student like me before, I knew that, again, breaking out of my own comfort zone and saying, okay, this is your chance. You need to advocate. You need to explain to them the technology that you're going to be using in their class. Because, a lot of professors have these rules, like you can't use your computer. You have to just use this. So I needed to explain, like, hey, that's not going to work for me. I need to use my iPad, or I need to use my Braille machine. So, yeah, I would email them. And if I needed to, I would set up office hours with them either during the week of when I had their class, just to kind of explain to them one-on-one my situations and what I would be needing in their class. And a lot of the time I had some really, really good professors. So it always worked out for the better in that case.
Mm-hmm. And then the next person with visual impairments that comes through, they'll be more apt to recognize it and know what entails when someone needs some accommodations that are pretty easy to do, because most everything is in a text format somewhere down the line that they could just make that advance to get it to you beforehand or something like that. That's great. That's great. I like what you said, that they know you more than just the name. That's important.
Right. Yeah.
And people can get to know you more than a name because you've been putting out YouTube videos.
Yes. So I started my channel, I want to say a year ago. I mean, I've had it since 2014, but I just wasn't consistent in uploading because I was like, what is this thing? What do you mean uploading? The more that I learned about YouTube, I was like, oh, I'm a blind person who, growing up, yes, I had friends who were blind, who were new to blindness or who became blind, whatever. But I never had somebody who I can really look to as a role model on the internet or in the community necessarily to speak about their experiences and the struggles that they're faced with. And so a big part of the reason why I started my channel is because, one, I knew there were a lot of people that were new to the blind community, and two, there are a lot of people in the blind community who may or may not know about the resources and agencies and the tools that are available to help them succeed. And also, as my friends and I like to say, it's a space for us on the internet to have our own voice and to really speak out about things that we're really passionate about. And talking about awareness for blindness is one of my things, amongst many other things, because as I say, yes, blindness is a part of me, but that's not the only thing that I am. There's so much more to me before my blindness. It's me singing. It's me as a person socializing. It's just the person that I am before my disability. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to film videos and collab and do all that stuff. So
well, you're doing it, and that's a big thing. Some people talk about doing stuff, but when you actually take the idea and put it forward and get the videos out there, you're exposing a part of your life, but you're sharing it with others so they can gain from it. So that's good. I like the initiative behind that.
Thank you.
On some of the videos, you talk about, things that you'd like to see, just typical things that aren't always talked about, kind of like, I call them the stuff in your back of your mind that, everything's out there, like on tech and all that. People want to talk that. People want to talk about how I get around, how I do this. But you got some topics on your YouTubes that are just, they're off the beaten path. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I look at other YouTubers. Tommy Edison is one that I really would love to work with. And I look at those videos and those people and I'm like, okay, I want to talk about this on my channel because I talk a lot about the good things about blindness. I never really I did a video talking about just the difficulties of blindness and what that's like, because I feel as though a lot of blind people in the community are talking about so many similar things. But again, it's about breaking out of your comfort zone and talking about things that you wouldn't necessarily talk about to people. So sharing the things like what I would want to see if I could, or the difficulties of blindness, those were ways for me to just be able to tell my subscribers, hey, yeah, I may talk about this constantly, but maybe you would want to see a different side of it. Maybe you want to see me not necessarily always talk about blindness. And a big part of having a channel, it's an algorithm, but you also have to communicate with your audience. And so that's one thing that I'm always telling my subscribers, like, hey, if there's a video you would want to see, let me know. I'm open to suggestions, you know? Yeah, I love being able to kind of think about content that isn't always there. It's been great.
Well, keep up the good work, because you never know how many people. Yeah, I mean, you may get numbers of how many you reach and stuff like that, but if it can impact someone to change the way they're doing something for the better and set themselves up so they can self-determine their goals and everything else, you may be the one that's doing it. So keep up the good work. Keep going.
Thanks.
You're living in New York.
Yes.
And that's pretty much of a hot spot. Was a hot spot, and you guys brought it way down, with your governor. It must be challenging for yourself. Talk to us a little bit about your experience with the COVID-19 and how it's impacted your daily life, your family, and your community.
Okay, so back in March, I had just finished doing a improv show with my acting professor, and we were all about to go on spring break. And, during spring break, everybody has plans. They're like, oh, let's meet up, let's do this, whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm going to hang out with my friends because I don't always get to. So that was the plan. And I really didn't get to say bye to a lot of my friends because I'm just thinking, oh, I'll see you next week, or I'll see you when we get back. And I get home, whatever. The next week, they're like, oh, we don't know if we're going to be going back to school. And I'm like, wait, why? What happened? And of course, I knew COVID was going around, but it wasn't at its highest point just yet. It was during my spring break that I really found out, like, you're going to have to doing distance learning for a while, which started to really give me a lot of anxiety just because on my channel, I talk about the difficulties I'm faced with in my college currently, but the transition from being in person to distance learning, I wasn't ready for that, and I don't think anybody was really ready for it. So immediately, the minute I found out, I started emailing people. I'm like, okay, wait, what are we using? Are we using Zoom? Are we using something else? Is it going to be accessible? Are you using PDFs for your class? Because again, you have to advocate and ask these questions before you don't get to really participate. So the distance learning thing was very, very stressful. Even though I was at home, you would think that it would be easy, but no, it was very hard. And I started to get really discouraged because I was dealing with professors again who weren't accommodating. Like I like to say, sometimes it feels like you're screaming, but no one can hear you. And that's how I felt in one class. And COVID was it made it really hard because I'd rather talk to people in person, I'd rather be able to sit down and have a conversation rather than email back and forth and get, have miscommunication happen. But I mean, it worked out. But other than that, I mean, it's hard because this is like the new norm, right? This is what we're all saying. It's the new norm. Nothing's really going to be back to normal for a while. And the only thing I've been struggling with is when I go out with my mom, I wear my mask and I social distance. But if it's a place that I'm used to, like my school, there's all of these new markers that are put down. There's plexiglass in certain areas. And so not just getting around those obstacles is going to be a very weird thing for me. And I mean, luckily, my family was healthy throughout this whole thing, which I'm really happy about. But again, it's been hard for me to adjust to it in a way. I called up my friends when I would feel discouraged and I would explain, I don't know. I don't know if I can continue with the semester. I don't know what I'm doing. I really had to just kind of find my own happiness during this. So talking about self-love, practicing self-love, which way I could, kind of just taking the time for myself and doing that. And it's going to be weird, but another therapeutic thing for me is filming videos, sharing things with my subscribers and just people on the internet. A good thing is that I've been able to be consistent during this quarantine. Yes, things have been very stressful, very difficult, but the good thing is I've been consistent. Wow. The amount of opportunities I've been given, like Bold Blind Beauty and just collabing with so many different people, I'm really happy that I have been able to get that out of this quarantine.
Oh, that's great. When you adjusted for your schooling, how much time did you lose out of? I mean, spring break was there, but did it start up right away? Did all of a sudden was it a false start? Did the school adjust right away?
We started literally the week after spring break started, so I want to say the Wednesday after. It was really weird because everybody was like, oh, what are we doing? I'm confused. Yeah, it took us a lot of time because everybody was still trying to figure out, faculty were trying to figure out, this is a new thing for them. A lot of them were the people that we would see every day. So using Zoom every single day to meet with your students and for us to meet with the professors, it was really weird. And we all kind of felt, everybody was just tired.
Really?
So tired. We were like, oh, this is so exhausting, having to learn all these new things and understand all the changes that are going to happen in the school. And who knows when we're going to go back. That was our thought at the time.
Have you utilized anything to get like groceries or deliveries of that sort?
I would usually go with my mom or, certain things we would get delivered just because we would try to limit the amount of time we spend outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's been nice to get out. My mom and I go for walks every other night, wear our masks, and people around the neighborhood just kind of keep their distance, or we go to the park and we sit down or whatever. Just things to kind of let us get out and get some air and clear our heads if we're feeling a little stressed.
Yeah, that's great. It's great when you can actually get away from your quarantined little workstation, computers, right, and all this stuff, where you do everything nowadays. That's how your connectivity is going.
I think that was the hardest thing because when we're in person, it's like, okay, you go to school, you have that time, you can socialize, you do whatever, you get home, and then you can do your homework. But when we started doing distance learning, it was like, oh, wait, which one is homework and which one is schoolwork and what is due when, So that was the hardest thing to deal with.
What types of tools do you use? Accessible technology. What is your go-to tools?
So on a day-to-day basis, I use my iPad that I'm on right now talking to you. I use my iPad. I have my Mac computer, which has both Windows and the Mac side on it. So that's great. So I can change between the two if I needed to. I have a Braille writer. Yeah, I would say those are the few that I use currently.
When you're talking about a Braille writer, you're talking about the Perkins writer?
No, I have a Braille note.
Ah.
Yeah, I have the Apex Braille note. I used to have a Braille writer. I really need to get one back because I still would use them for certain things. But I have a Braille note, my computer, which has Windows on it as well, and my iPad, and all of those things have screen readers, except for the Braille note, which just has Braille. So those have been the things that I rely on the most. Yeah, it's just kind of simple, easy. And then, of course, my phone, which has voiceover on it. So,
What advice would you give to parents who have a child who's blind and the use of Braille?
I would say take the time to maybe learn with your child so you can understand what Braille is. But also, there's fun little games you can buy for them, like MaxiAids or APH. There's all these different websites that have really cool stuff that I actually used to use as a kid, which helped me a lot because it's a way for you to have fun, but it's also a way for you to learn. And I think for me, what I did is when I had my Braille writer, I would learn how to do the alphabet on it and all just tactile shapes and games. I would say those are some things currently. If you have a child that has a visual impairment, just try to, obviously after quarantine and after Corona, try to enroll your kid in programs that would help them to gain more experience being around other blind people because it's good to be able to learn. I think for me, one of the things that really helped was I was dealing with adjusting on my own, but there were people who had already accepted it and adjusted that kind of helped me to understand how to live with the disability. And so I would say enroll your child into programs, things that would be fun for them to do on the weekends. I did the music program for a while. I did another youth program. So I would say, yeah, maybe just things like that. Really get to know the agencies and resources that are available for your children because it will help them in the long run.
Did you do any adjustment to blindness training at a center at all?
Like mostly at the lighthouse, I did music for the first like 8 years. I said, and then I started doing a youth program once I got into high school, which I was able to learn how to write a resume, interviewing skills, and within all of those programs, I did mobility because they had mobility instructors, which would come and teach us. And yeah, I was in a lot of different programs. I was doing a pre-college one, which I did my junior year. I did a youth program when I was a freshman.
Ah, yeah. We have some programs called like STEP programs or something to bring you to the next level or something as your preparedness for for college. That's great. On your YouTube channel, what can we expect coming out next?
So next, I want to do some like back to school stuff. I've been trying to get more into different things because usually my subscribers would just kind of see me sitting down here talking away. So I want to just show them some new things. A popular one that I've been hearing from a lot of other blind creators is make a video of you walking around with your cane. People are really interested in those things. And so I think that would be good once I get to actually get outside. I'm going to do a back to school haul with all the new things I got for school. I'm doing, talking about the cane and why it's important. And I'm supposed to do a few more collabs at some point, but if it doesn't happen this month, it'll probably happen next month once I get the chance to because of school and all those other things. So those are the few things coming up. I have a list that I can probably check, but those were the ones that I can remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I like the cane. Everyone has a choice of what kind they have. The adaptation store on San Francisco Lighthouse has like a store there, and on their website they have like 7 different varieties. You can get the Chris Parks telescopic, you can get the folding ones. They fold up to 7 so people can stow them away. I mean, I think canes have gotten to a point where someone does have 2 or 3 or, at least 2 canes, a backup and their everyday driver.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're going to dress up and, to the nines and you're going to go out, it's nice to be able to stow it away at a fancy restaurant. It doesn't mean you're going to use that as every day because everyone knows what it feels like when a telescopic cane collapses a little bit. It feels like you're going down steps without knowing it.
I just ordered a new one from Ambutech, and I've never been more excited to receive a cane in my life. I'm so serious. I'm like...
Really?
Yeah, because I was able to, on Ambutech you can customize them. So it was really cool. I was able to design it in a way that I wanted to. My mom helped me to pick out the colors and design it in a specific way. Like a lot of my other friends who I met throughout quarantine are like, oh my God, I can't wait to see it. So.
Oh, wow. So that's the surprise. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Can you tell them the name of your channel?
My name of the channel is just my name, Gabby Mendoza. I'm sure Jeff will link it somewhere. Yeah, that's where you guys can find me. I have all my social media linked to that in the About section. So if you want to follow me on Instagram or Twitter, you can do so.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, the white cane is symbolic, but every once in a while, sometimes you want to jazz it up, especially if you're going to be around people that you just know and stuff like that. I mean, who really cares, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
That's great. That's Ambutech, and they make a really good cane. I have a folding one from them. I've had it for over 10 years now, I believe. And
nice.
Some people say, oh, the elastic breaks, or something. And I said, I'll wait till it does. It works.
10 years. That's impressive.
Well, I have other straight canes that I use as well, but it's sometimes when I'm going to be traveling for 3.5 hours, it's nice to fold something up. And
yeah.
Have you ever considered a guide dog?
Yes, I'm actually going to be getting one once I graduate. That's the plan right now. I'm so excited. I'm going to go to GDF. I spoke to them last week. They were really, really kind, and I'm excited because I wanted a guide dog for so long. I want to wait until I'm done with school just so that I know like what I want to do and what I'm going to be doing. But yeah, that's the plan right now. Hopefully get.
Can you tell listeners what GDF stands for?
GDF stands for Guide Dog Foundation. They are located here in New York, and they supply guide dogs to those with visual impairments. And I think their training is up to 2 weeks, where some other schools are up to I think 4 to 6, I've heard. I don't know, heard different things. Yeah, definitely check them out. They're great organization.
I think it's awesome that they got it down to 2 weeks because people who are working and stuff can take a 2 week slot and go get it. Someone can fit the 2 weeks in. And I know people who have done the 2 weeks and they're doing fine, especially, the training that they get. You're in New York, so you'll be able to have some more contact in home sometimes here or there, connectivity to them and advice from them. So that's cool.
Yeah.
You still have a backup cane, of course?
Yes, I have my white cane, and that's like the fold-up one, but it's too short for me now, so I had to upgrade anyways, but I'm still going to keep it as a backup and, use it.
Mm-hmm. So. That's great. So you got school starting up soon again.
Yes.
How are you looking forward to that?
I'm actually excited because even though I'm going to be going in, I think like once or twice a week, it's still something for me to do. Again, with quarantine, I've been doing so much and it's been fun, but I kind of miss being around other people and just kind of getting back into the swing of things, so to say. I mean, I want to see how my senior year goes. Hopefully it's a lot better. I feel horrible for the seniors from this year. They didn't have a great senior year, and that really does suck. And I told all my friends, I'm like, I'm so sorry. Hopefully it goes good. I want to see, I'm probably going to go to the school a week before just to kind of get oriented with all the new things they have. That should be very interesting.
Well, that's a good idea to do that because you don't want to be there on the first day and get turned around and go, oh, Mo, I got I got 5 minutes for a 20-minute walk.
Yeah. Right.
What about your major?
Yeah, sure. So in high school, like I said, I thought I was going to be doing music because I was like, music is it. This is all I know and this is all I'm going to ever do. And I kind of had a breakdown over it, but it's cool. But I soon found out that I'm very good at communicating, which at the time I was like, no, I'm not. I suck at this. I can't hold a conversation. It's funny enough, my TVI actually told me, she's like, you should look into communications. So I'm currently studying communications and digital media, and I'm minoring in music. And my major, there's such a variety of things you can do with communications. There's marketing, there's PR, there's digital stuff, which I want to get into. Radio broadcasting has been something I've been wanting to do forever, along with television and film and things like that. Hopefully that's what I can do. And also just the performing arts. I mean, totally different from communications, but those are the top things right now on my list for when I graduate.
Well, good luck with all your endeavors and your YouTube channel, your piano. The thing about piano that you have it and you're singing, you can carry that with you. Well, don't carry the piano, but I mean, you can bring that with you wherever you go. That's awesome to have that skill.
Right.
Someone told me one time, go for your career, but have a good hobby. And some people want to try and take their hobby into a career, but...
Into a career.
Yeah. So that's great that you found a career. And, for those listening, take the advice you gave. And thank you so much for coming on the Blind Abilities, talking about your education and everything. And I think you got your head on your shoulders. You're headed in the right direction. And good luck with everything that you put in front of you. You're knocking down those barricades and brick walls one at a time.
Thank you so much for having me. I've always wanted to check out Blind Abilities, and it's great that I've been able to talk here with you today, Jeff. So thank you.
Oh, you bet. All right. Well, you have a great day. Stay well, stay informed, and stay strong.
Thanks, Jeff. You too.
Such a great time talking to Gabby Mendoza. Be sure to check the show notes and you can find her links to the Twitter, her Facebook, her Instagram, and her YouTube channel at Gabriela Mendoza. If you have any questions, suggestions, or any feedback you want to send to Blind Abilities, you can give us a call at 612-367-6093 or give us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Be sure to contact your state services for the blind, your voc rehab, and find out what they can do for you. Live, work, read, succeed. And from all of us to you, your family, and friends, stay well, stay informed, and stay strong. I want to thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. And until next time, bye-bye.
When we share
what we see through
each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations and the realities of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, Blind Abilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.